Go ahead. Now it's working again.
Just to reiterate, the first 3-year lease agreement with West Realty ended when?
I just got the renewal from them within the last month maybe, so I don't know if it's actually ended yet, but they've already sent me their
Request to renew the lease.
Okay. Thank
I'd
you.
have to look at the dates, I'm not sure exactly what date, if it was on a calendar year, if it's at the end of the year, or if it was a different date. I don't think it was a calendar year.
It wasn't.
Any other questions on revenue?
Those court fines, what those fines usually coming from?
Those can be traffic violations, or code violations, tree cuttings, that kind of thing.
Basically, it looks like we're planning on collecting a lot more money in fines next year. And actually anticipated it this year as well.
Well, and that may have come from the even higher year we had the year before, so, yeah.
It's estimated based on the prior year, and the prior year was high, so she cut it back some, not knowing what it was gonna be.
Why was the prior year high? Any
Has some
particular event
fines.
happened?
Was-
We had
was it you?
some tree cutting, and we had some tree cuttings, and we
Was it
had,
what?
I said, was it you?
but we did have several tree cutting violations. We also had more tickets at that particular time.
It'd be awfully handy to have the 2016, kind of what was budgeted and spent when you're looking at these, because I mean, I don't see how you're looking at just these numbers here and making any accurate,
I do have the audit for 2016, if anybody wants
These are
to
just
look at
guidelines,
it.
yeah.
It'll have, some of the information
What's the insurance premium tax? What is that?
That's- you can-
that's the tax that insurance companies pay to the city for doing,
Do they pay that at year end or?
I think it usually comes in October.
Okay, but it's a lump sum
It comes
payment.
in as a bulk.
Okay, thank you.
I've looked back at the last 10 years of our budget, and very little has changed, revenue or expense-wise, except the year that we had an increase in the millage rate. And that was because, and the reason we did that was because we had a bunch of equipment that had worn out, and our employees hadn't had a raise in a long time, so that was the only time there's been any significant change.
Fines and forfeitures for 2016 were $21,659. If that, and I've cut it back to 8.
$21K in 2016, huh?
I'm sorry?
21,000?
Yeah, looking at the audit. Franchise taxes total were $54,514. For she lumps them all together, but anyway, I've got the audit here that has, some of that. That we can refer to. Okay, all right, so legislative, the budget remained the same. That's your council. Executive, the mayor's budget. Elections, kept the same, and that's with the county doing it. Administration, health insurance, we're anticipating higher. Salaries are not much different. Not a whole lot of difference. Professional service, that's your attorney. We haven't been spending a lot in attorney fees, so I dropped that a little bit.
What kind of retirement do y'all offer the employees?
It's,
401K?
no, it's funded through the Georgia Municipal Association. It's through
Defined benefit, defined
the
contribution?
defined
Defined, defined contribution. What's it running about? What, 7%, something like that?
Yeah, it's real close to that.
Okay, that's what you get now.
It was,
That's nice that you can offer retirement benefits to the employees. How
it was 6.16.
how long does it take to vest?
5 years.
Okay.
Okay, anybody have any questions about administration? Pretty much constant, except for the health insurance. Buildings and grounds, again, that's the new department for this year, so we wouldn't even have 16 data for it. But just keeping it basically constant.
But all those were in another department.
Yeah. So that, even if you had the 16 numbers, they would look really different by department because of these departments that are getting pulled out of other departments. So it's still kind of, you still kind of have to look at the overall totals instead of just the individual departments because of that.
Should have really had buildings and grounds a long time ago, but the software that we had wasn't set up for it. And then when we got the good software that's designed for municipality, it was there, and so the auditor said you got the capability, you didn't do it, so.
All right, and we're just following, like I said, the Department of Community Affairs sets a uniform chart of accounts and that all the governments have to use for reporting purposes. So you have some leeway in, defining departments, but if you have a department, it has to fit within that chart of accounts, if that makes any sense.
So, a question for you, the building and grounds, that's the new category
Well, it was new this year.
this year? Okay, so you have the year-to-date numbers for it.
Mhm.
You started to put things into it. The landscaping by others, next year's at 18,000, is that something that should be bid out on a yearly basis?
It was bid initially, we can bid it again, at any point that the council wants to.
The other bids we got was so much higher than the one we accepted, it would have been close.
But we can certainly look at that.
It's not under building and ground.
Yeah.
What is
Where
it?
is it, 18,000? I don't see
Wait a minute, you got, okay, oh, building and grounds up here. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah, the
I'm-
yellow
okay,
is
I've
the
jumped down
bottom
to the
of
wrong
the-
section, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, so judicial didn't change really. Police, again, if you look, salaries are up. The temporary, we had a lot of temporary in the last, this year because of change in police chief and short staff and all. That's not a normal number for us, so the 5,000 and the 5,000 is what we've typically been able to work with, under the police budget for overtime and temporary help. Sometimes we have to use more temporary and less overtime, or more overtime and less temporary, depending on, what we have available. But, the reason that's so high this year is because of our change in, all of our
Personnel.
stuff we had going on.
Now, hopefully we'll get up to a full staff too.
Okay, on, health insurance is up, we anticipate that being up, and,
Find $50,000 to pay for health.
And we can take it out of the park budget and our police
I
back.
don't think that 5,000 is gonna do it.
Stick to the budget. We don't need it.
okay, moving on.
Okay.
Health insurance insurance, is up. FICA, just slightly up, all that based on the salaries. Again, retirement contributions. Unemployment should be down if we don't have a whole bunch of turnover. Workers' comp the same. Vacation buyback up just a little bit. Usually, I didn't have many employees that were using that, but we anticipate now having a regular full staff. You know, we have to be prepared for that, and that's when employees can buy back part of their vacation time. Let's see. The repair to damaged property, of course, that's $7,400. That's not in the new budget. That's not something that I anticipate. If it happens, then we'll adjust later.
That was attractive.
That was the police car
Police
that hit
car.
the deer.
Hit the deer.
Somewhere.
I don't have that one. The insurance deductible, again, that was tied to that police car accident. And then everything else is pretty standard until you get down to small equipment. That's the computers for the cars. So all that was under the grant, so we won't have that expenditure again. Any questions on police? Fire is the 1 mil. We had technical services this year, that's for the trees that we agreed to take down. Roads, salaries up just a little bit. Temporary employees, that's for the seasonal, that's up. Which I will say, we're down another employee. We had one leave us to go work somewhere else, so we've got one full-time position now. Talked to James this morning. He would like to recommend the one seasonal person that we have be transferred to that full-time position. So I'll bring that up to council.
Linda, quick question. Are you getting any, just in this roads department, are you getting any extra dollars from the federal government due to the storm that came through?
We are working on that, so we hope to.
Yeah, I've just seen the roads department working an awful lot of overtime.
Yeah, that's why. We can claim all that under
Yeah.
that.
Okay, thank you.
So. Let's see.
Capital outlay at the bottom is the big difference on roads,
Yeah.
paving.
Capital outlay property, that's the road paving. Capital outlay machinery and equipment, that would be, you know, a vehicle or a striping machine or whatever we decide to look at at that time.
What about the need for the backhoe to do the small bucket to do the ditches and the clean out of the ditches? Are we making any preparations for that, or?
Now, we had planned this year, or last winter, to rent a piece of equipment and kind of test
Test
drive
it.
it, but didn't ever have the time to get it done.
Any idea what the rental cost of that would be?
I did price it at that time, I don't remember right offhand what it was.
Well, we probably need to get into that, because everything's backed up everywhere. Okay.
We don't have a lot in rental, for that
Right.
department. I've got 500. But that's when it comes in handy, that if we decide we want to rent a piece of equipment, if I see that we're not using much in something else, you know, I can do that without having to do a budget amendment.
Yep.
I couldn't hear very well, I guess, when you're going.
the capital outlay, property, what, $174,000?
That's the remainder of the paving that we've committed for next year.
Remainder.
The council approved 2 years at once, 17 and 18.
So this is what was
This is what
left over out of
will
what
go
was
into
approved.
next year.
Goes into next
We
year.
have to use it before June 30th of next year.
Why is there no
Right.
expense this year? I'm sorry, go ahead, excuse me.
It hadn't been done when I did these sheets.
Okay.
That's before.
And the $15,000,
That's,
for the
that's what we're
Like a
talking
truck
about,
or something.
equipment or truck, or that's 15,000 to go towards whatever council decides is our biggest need at that time. We have a lot of needs.
That's
It's
kind
not a
of,
lot of money to
that's
go
awful
towards
low.
all the needs, but
thing.
hopefully if we do get some money back from the FEMA on, you know, I hope to maybe convince council to use some of that money towards being able to replace that equipment.
Like to go back to
I
this
think
paper.
that's going to be
You said we've
critical.
got to spend this paving money by June of next year.
Our contract with them was through June. It was a one-year contract, but it started in June, so it was June to June.
Right. So we've got to make sure that all of our paving is done by then, or what?
Or we'll have to, at that point, we'll have to rebid.
So we're not bound, I mean, if we, you know, we just did this, what, last month, I believe it was, so in other words, we're kind of on a short time, at least to get that, any other paving done.
Well, we wouldn't do it this year, we'd be,
No,
it'd
I'm
be,
talking about for next year, in other words, it has to be completed by June, so in other words, we just.
so as soon as it got warm enough to start
That's what I'm
paving again.
Thinking about it, I mean, you kind of, you got about a month, or maybe two,
Right,
so,
so we'd start earlier next year to try to get that completed.
all right.
Is that when the painting of the, what roads they've done this year, they're gonna do it next year, or we're gonna get that done this
The
year?
striping,
Striping.
No, it'll be this year.
yeah. Soon.
Soon.
They've got, they had an equipment breakdown on the shoulder building.
They do borrow some of our equipment, all everything's breaking down.
No, it happens to other people too. So, but as soon as they can get that back up and going, they'll finish the shoulder building, they'll hydro seed, and then they'll be doing the strip.
Do you get a list of surplus road equipment from the government that, or do you have to look into that and see?
No, they don't send a list. We do most of our surplus equipment through Gov Deals, and, so, you know, we look at that.
A lot of times, a lot of airports and stuff, the Army and whatever, and they just keep swapping out, and a lot of the stuff is,
Yeah, if you look, it's pretty worn out, the stuff that comes up on there. Now, they may have a different, you know, site that they go through, or, you know, different way of doing it, but the stuff that ends up on Gov Deals, I mean, the stuff we put on Gov Deals is pretty worn out, you know, it's rare that you find something that, you know, is still relatively new.
Question for you, on the buildings and all that the road department uses, is that the road department budget or in the buildings and ground?
Buildings and grounds.
Okay,
So the shop, like previously, we'd have trouble, the guys would want to put, it's for the shop. Well, we didn't have a
Right.
shop category, you know, so we were trying to split it between departments and stuff.
Okay.
So that's covered under buildings and grounds.
okay, so just for an example, under electricity,
That's gonna be your street lights and
Okay.
those kind of,
gotcha, all right, nothing.
not the buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions on roads? Okay. Special events, activities, that's our festivals, nothing else.
Is this the marketing monies?
That's the marketing monies for the festivals. Then we have some economic development money, like the billboards and stuff that are not in this, but all the festival stuff is in there. And that is all paid by the three-way funds. Parks, like I said, that's a new maintenance type budget, so there's not, I didn't put that under buildings and grounds, it could have been probably, but I figured y'all were gonna wanna see it separated, so that's, basically the maintenance of the park is shown separately in its own department.
What date was this run, right there where it shows the 87,190 in capital outlay of property under parks?
I'm not sure, I've had it done for a little while, so it's probably like August.
Okay. I was just thinking of the recent letter from the mayor, it seemed like it was up at 100, what do you have in that letter, 128?
For what?
The letter you sent out to where we were at to date on
How much we
on
spent
the park.
on the park?
Yeah,
I don't recall, I think that's closer.
okay.
That cannot, that really, based on the cost of the pickleball courts and the pavilion, that's pretty close right there.
That's what that, okay, that's for the pickleball courts and pavilion.
Well, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that amount only totals the two
Jim?
expenditures.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I see that the capital outlay for parks is 0. Do we have a plan for the bridge to connect the path? And do we have a plan for the children's park?
We've worked on the bridge, we're still working on it, and getting bids, further bids, and the Kitty Park, the POA, I understand is going to provide some seed money, and that we're going to establish a fundraising committee to try to come up with money for that, and park benches and picnic tables and grills. Kathy Turner's agreed to work on that, and we'll be getting a committee together to raise that money, hopefully.
Okay.
We're competing right now, we hadn't already done it, we're competing with the club on croquet. You know, they've been out in the community raising money for
Right.
croquet, and have raised a lot, so we're trying to piggyback in behind them.
I see.
But yeah, in the new budget, there's no money allocated right now for it. If that's something council decides they want to do with the excess funds from what we have in the budget for this year, then that'll be something they can decide later.
Well, assuming the bridge bids all come in,
We'll address that probably this year.
okay, thank you.
Milner, the kiddie park, is the CBC gonna be putting in a kids playground out there, do you know?
We don't have any definite plans right
Okay.
now. A lot sort of depends on a few meetings we had with Harris.
Okay,
But that is something that we're considering.
okay.
We can get together and coordinate, so we don't have two kitty parks.
Well, that'd be great, because there's one down there at timeshares.
Okay, any questions about parks? Okay, next section is housing and development. That's all your building inspection, code enforcement. But the big difference there is the vehicle that was purchased this year.
So housing and development is basically code enforcement.
Right, it's your building inspection and code enforcement, which is the same person, but
Okay.
everything that falls in that department, so your, your zoning expenses, if you have a zoning request, the expenses that are involved in that,
Okay, thank you.
planning zone.
Question under the advertising amount, is that $100 for next year?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, economic development, that,
Excuse me.
oh.
What would you say, Paul, about that?
I'm looking under the advertising, under, for the housing and development section.
But that $100 is in travel, it's not in that section, right?
I'm looking at $100 budget for advertising in the housing development. Is it-
Yeah, that's your, like
I'm
your
sorry,
zoning
I'm
notice.
sorry. I'm in the wrong.
You gotta go down and then go up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to keep you on your
You're
toes.
not the first one.
But yeah, that would cover like the advertising for planning and zoning meetings and that.
Yeah, it was true. It went high at $100, 23,000 got to 100.
That's economic development.
Okay, next section is economic development. So that's where, like your employee for the business center, and the other advertising that's not a part of one of the festivals, those two-way and three-way monies, general supplies.
The employee is a visitor center. Yeah, yeah, sure.
Do we have any kind of conversion rate? I just, this week, as a matter of fact, had my first client who actually knew about Sky Valley before I introduced them to it. Do we have some kind of conversion rate? I know that it's been claimed the city has really increased the real estate market here. I'm curious how they did that.
I don't have a conversion rate.
So we don't, we're putting out, what, 50, well, this year we budgeted 54,000 and 53,000, and we just don't have any analytics to tell us what we're producing, because I do find it very difficult at this point. We don't even have a future plan that we can introduce to people. And we're spending all this money, and we don't know how we're converting these people into tax revenue for the city.
And it's gonna be very difficult to quantitate, how many people come up from a festival or from a golf outing or a billboard or, it's really hard to quantify that, how you would do that.
Okay.
Accurate figures on the people who stop at the visitor center, and we also have information from MLS on the number of houses that are being sold, and we have the number of building permits that are being issued for improvements to homes that are sold. And from all I'm hearing, I think some from you and other realtors, is that you're kind of pleased with the fact that things are moving and prices are going up a little bit.
Oh, we're definitely pleased that things are moving. I'm just trying to quantify how economic development and how their participation is making that happen. As I say, I've just literally this year had my first customer, which is actually this week. And they called me and said, hey, we found Sky Valley, we like it, we want to look at houses there. Every other customer I've sold to in here, I've actually picked up by going down and showing them houses because they called them something in Clayton, Rayburn Gap, Dillard. We show them a few houses there and then bring them up here and then, give them the spiel on Sky Valley and tell them how much I love it and so forth. And that they're going, we had no clue. So I'm just, how are we getting anywhere if I've had one out of the number of customers where we're getting there?
Well, because you're isolating your experience, and there are a lot of other realtors here. I have some that have been here a long time and telling me just the opposite, that they're having people come up the hill who see the billboard at the end. They're coming from Cherokee, go there on a gambling thing, and they see that billboard and say, oh, it's just 3 miles up the road, let's go up there and look at it. And a lot of people stop at the visitor center, so we saw your sign.
Oh, I don't have any doubt that the signs are beneficial to getting people here. What I have doubt is we're spending all this money on a visitor center when we really don't know what its return is. We don't know what our return on our investment is.
We didn't have any record of having people were coming up here before we got the visitor center. Now, since we do have the visitor center, we're keeping accurate records on how many people stop there.
And if we didn't have it, I don't think people would stop and know.
Well, it gives them
Well,
somewhere to stop and
Yeah.
get
Even if they
information.
just use the bathroom, they,
Well,
Do all the
that's
advertising
probably what
where
we're
you walk
doing, is
to.
actually paying more for a paid restroom than anything
And get as many people up here, through all your advertising and social media and everything else, and then they get there and say, what they got to do? Well, we got a place where they can go find out, you know. You can put all your material in there, everybody else can put their material in there. They got one place to go to find out everything they need to know. Krista?
Just a question related. Chip, do you have any anecdotal information on conversion rate from timeshare people?
Do I have any?
Yeah, just anecdotal.
No, because as I said, I just had the first customer this week out of the whole year that actually knew of Sky Valley.
What I'm saying is a number of people, myself included, we had a timeshare before we came up here, and that's how we found out about Sky Valley.
Me too.
You know, and that's, you know, and my point is, I think
I
that's,
think that's in the high 90s.
you know, that, I think it's significant.
I can report, based on my wife and I being out painting hay bales of all things, we had a couple stop and they went straight to timeshare and bought a timeshare for that same week in early October because they like the hay bales.
Yeah.
Well, that's a direct relationship. And I think we're getting all kinds of return, we just can't quantify it.
My point is, I think timeshare, you know, looking at timeshare people ought to be a significant part of your marketing effort, because my experience is that's where you get a lot of people coming, buying houses here.
And we put a lot of information in their office, and we tried to include them in our marketing group on the front end. And they had a manager at that time who was very interested in working with us, and we were really excited about it. And then he left, and the board decided they didn't want to participate with us. But I've been told by an employee over there that their occupancy rate has been going up the last few years.
Good.
And that is
We
quite
can get
possibly
that.
because we have been promoting the marketing.
But
And that is quite possibly because the marketing committee has been promoting Sky Valley through social media and so on.
it's very difficult to gather specific data on, you know, the person, what got you here, you know. Now, at the Visitor Center, they will make comments and will ask questions, you know, about how you heard about us, and a lot of them are the billboards.
I perceive that it's a synergistic kind of effect, that there are lots of factors that feed into that, not the least of which is the beauty of what we have and the quality of the golf course. And then the improvement to the things that have been done here locally. I mean, it's just, look what the people who took over this facility have done at the CBC. Made it a whole, once you can get people inside the door and get past the old wood on the outside and the roof, they love what's been done here. So it's all fitting together to provide a better environment, I think. That's my perspective.
Another thing we get a lot of comment on at the Visitor Center is the overlook and the kiosk that we put down there that has some Sky Valley history. We cleaned it out, number one, and now you have a really good view, and then put the kiosk up. And a lot of people stop there, read about Sky Valley, come on up, and stop at the Visitor Center.
I see so many people reading that song. One of my greatest accomplishments.
And I would agree with that. That sound is fantastic.
I had a couple of knocks on my door about 3 weeks ago and just wanted some information about Valley View. And they ended up that day buying something of that from Denise. And I asked her, how'd y'all hear about Sky Valley? And she said, well, actually, they were gonna look around and they took their dogs to be boarded in Franklin for the day. And she asked the lady there, you know, what nice areas to go. And she said, well, have you tried the Sky? And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, the Sky. And she said, you know, down, if you go back down that way, there's a billboard down there, just turn left down that way and go up there. But I thought that was kind of interesting. That, and they bought that day. Interesting, they called it, she referred to it as the Sky.
Right.
Wasn't there somebody you knew that bought from the beer festival? That came
Yes,
up from the beer festival and they bought
I
too.
mean, it's sort of like, you know, like Chip, when we run an ad in the real estate, you know, or on on your website, you don't know how much that produced. It came from that exactly, but it's you know, obviously it works for you with the very nice ads that you
Yeah,
have.
well, thank you.
Incredible.
Well, and we do track our conversion rate, so.
And that's a little easier, you know, because you're
Yeah.
putting out a certain amount and you're getting a certain amount back. It's a little harder to quantify when you're a city and you don't know exactly, you know, what brought them up here or what they do when they get
Well,
here. I don't think it's hurting you.
that's the way I do it. Everything I advertise with, I have to be able to quantify and get the analytics of what it's producing. Which in this day and time, you know, it's not like putting something in the newspaper or a magazine. You don't know if 2 people saw it or 2,000 people saw it. Where now, you know, we know exactly who saw what, how they converted and so forth. So, okay.
Okay. And then, actually, that's a mistake on the other financing uses, that all the contingency was moved into depreciation.
Okay.
We didn't put any contingency, we wrote all that, since we weren't.
I think it's on,
Yeah, I think the
This
summary
one
page
here,
is
yeah.
correct, but not the detail page.
We used to have contingency before we had depreciation, but now that we have depreciation, now it's neutral.
yeah.
Okay, that gets us through the general fund. Can I take a quick break?
Yeah, yeah.
Give me 5 minutes. What's the appeal? I mean, there's still people.
All right, you down to water fund?
Yes. All right. On to the water fund.
Good, it's getting cold.
Yeah. Keep everybody awake here. All right, water, I mean, very little changed. The biggest difference is, on there's nothing budgeted for capital outlay.
How long is that loan for debt service going to be there?
20 years.
20 years? 20 more years?
No, not 20 more years, but it was 20 years total, so.
Which was,
I think we're
what,
about
14, 6 years?
8 years ago?
not 8.
That's about right.
I think.
4, when Jim was in for 6, it was done,
It was done, Jim.
yeah, so it's
Why
like,
don't you just tap on
I'll
it?
take it.
Okay.
Any questions about water?
How much is a tap on fee for a house?
2,500.
That's one house, okay.
So we anticipate one. Keep our fingers crossed for one.
I heard there was one, somebody was gonna build a house next year. Can't remember what it was.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, but as of Saturday, I brought someone up who was buying a lot in Dillard to build a new house, and now they have totally moved to thinking about a lot here in Sky Valley, and so I'm praying we'll have our first new home construction if all this comes to fruition.
Keep up the good work.
I had one 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Does it cost $2,500 to do a tap?
Well, you're paying, of course, for the infrastructure that's already, there, so,
My point is,
I mean,
that's an insignificant amount of revenue, and it would seem to me we want to encourage new homes. That's,
I don't think it's gonna detour anyone from, I mean,
Yeah.
it's much cheaper than drilling a well somewhere else. We have the last several years waived new building permit fees,
permits.
Yeah.
but not the water tower.
Linda, what were you saying about capital outlay? It's 0 for next year.
I just haven't planned any specifically for water.
Okay.
If something comes up, if we can't get the backhoe fixed or something, then, we'll have to look at that, but we do have, 41,000 in depreciation.
Yeah, And what will be committed then this year to that depreciation? No, it's at zero, in other words, right now for year-to-date,
Yeah, we don't do that until the end of the
at
year.
the end of the year? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
What are the technical services?
Technical services is like our lab fees, our water operator fees.
When they test it.
Our water testing.
Do we,
That seems real high for water testing. They have done a good bit of it. I'm not sure what.
Well, we outsource our water technician, our water licensed water
Somebody has to be
operator.
licensed.
Right, okay.
So we
That's
outsource that.
Was that to a company or?
We've done that for,
Justin McCall, that works for the water,
Yeah.
sewer, water and sewer authority.
Gotcha.
He just did it. Any other questions on water? Solid waste, again, no big variations. Up seasonal, a little bit.
Is that mostly for the club,
For the,
for the club, and over the timeshares?
No, it's all of our solid.
Oh,
waste that
that's
we-
trash.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that's gonna include all your household garbage, your shipping, mail, debris, that kind of garbage.
you're kind of like that.
And your recycling.
Okay.
So we make some money on that recycling, don't we?
No,
Not much,
we don't make any.
but we don't have to, what?
But we don't have to pay to
We don't have to
dispose.
pay for that weight, like those wine bottles we drink.
That's correct.
Yeah, pay for the lesson, but you don't have to pay to get rid of it.
You got a nickel and wine bottle, that'd be more.
How many recycling bins are per household?
We've issued one. Now, some people use other stuff,
Okay.
too.
Linda, question for you. The household garbage goes directly to the compactor, is that? Okay, so if.
I mean, what we pick up?
Yeah,
No, we take it to the landfill.
okay. Just FYI, I've seen the garbage truck for the city on garbage days unloading at the compactor down there. The guy that used to be a policeman here, now he's on the roads and worked, and another younger fellow that was helping him.
I've seen them stop down there and pick up the excess that people left on the ground and on top of it and all that.
Yeah, I mean, they can't
There are
unload the whole
those-
garbage truck there. I mean, they
Sure they can,
compact it.
the little one that they run on my street, I've seen them go up there, dump it, but that's not the program is to haul
Yes,
the household garbage down to which field?
on Boggs Mountain Road.
Okay. And that's where the recycling goes as well?
Yes.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah, occasionally, if our garbage truck's down or we're short employees like we were Monday, and we run a regular truck too, instead of just the garbage truck, then
Yeah,
if they get too full, they might have to do that.
gotcha, okay,
But no, that's not the regular protocol.
Linda,
gotcha, thank you.
Linda, do we have any idea what percentage of our household garbage goes to the dumpster and what percentage is actually picked up by the city? No, okay.
Well, it's a big percentage picked up.
I mean, we run very few dumpsters overall now,
Mhm.
Timeshare uses that a lot.
Yeah,
I've noticed that.
yeah. That's where a lot of that
Are they supposed to?
comes from. I've seen them.
Oh.
but, yeah, I mean, they're paying.
I've thrown some there a time or two.
Well, there's a big amount of garbage
Most of
anyway.
the people that use the ones that have stuff that shouldn't be in the garbage, they pick it to the house. People are abused.
Oh, we don't use our
System.
cans, haven't for years.
because I've gone in there and
Yeah.
looked.
People still get confused about the rock system, whether the rock's on, means there's trash in
And
it,
of
or
course,
the rock's
sometimes
off.
you get
You probably ought to put out an email about
Hands on the rock.
people that really come up.
You probably ought to put out an email
Should.
about rocks.
Yeah,
About once a quarter. I talked to
Exactly.
somebody yesterday, didn't have a clue
That's
which
what
was
it
there.
is, you know.
Just common, because sometimes it's, they get used to
Put out
not.
another email about how the rocks work.
We talked about that the other
Does
day,
usually,
actually.
a few bees
And
are.
they don't have any trouble with the bears, because Bob even latched those things.
Oh, yeah,
at
there's
one time,
still,
and they
animals
we
still
still
get
tore
them.
them, so we just always
They-
I wish we didn't
really-
even have those things.
We really don't like
covered
the
up
underground
leaves.
cans. Um,
Yeah.
We don't, I mean, animals still get in them, and they're, they don't hold much, people cram their bags in, they get ripped when our guys take them out, I mean, it's.
Bears get in the dumpsters at Valley View. I mean, they climb over the fence, open the top, get in there and drag it up the hill.
Well, that's
Question,
because
speaking
you
of that,
have the expensive food that they want to go there first.
I do eat well.
Okay, we got a question.
Speaking of that, the bears, we've had a number of bears with multiple cubs this year. The thing is, if a bear goes in one house, they don't perceive differences in houses. And I'm concerned, even though everybody says they're safe, sooner or later, somebody's gonna get hurt. Because I've seen people in South Valley do really foolish things about bears. So my point is, we probably ought to look at some way to relocate some of these bears. You can't get rid of all of them, but if we could get rid of some of them, it'd be a good thing.
There's no place to relocate them, and the Department of Wildlife will tell you you need to just eliminate them, shoot them.
Shoot 'em.
Yeah,
Well,
the
that's
police,
an option.
the police try to.
The best
deter
thing to
them
do
from
is
rubber
don't
bands
put
and
out
stuff,
your bird feeders, don't put
Oh,
out
we
your
got people
food.
that feed the
Advertise
bears.
that like crazy, because once we did that, the bears haven't been a big problem.
We've got some foolish people.
They
who
left.
feed them.
Oh, yeah.
There's no food, they leave.
It's just common out west, it's excuse, or somebody every year gets hurt by bears.
Well, no.
He's got one of them.
Yeah, they have.
And rings the
Well, the other
doorbell.
night, the doorbell, we've never seen a bear.
Okay, let's, if y'all don't mind, let's finish up. Let's see, where were we? We finished, solid waste,
Yeah.
or we're on solid waste?
Unless anybody has any other questions, something.
Conversation got more animated around the solid.
Animated, good word. Oh, there's more pages.
Okay, does anyone have any question about the revenue budget or the expenditure budget?
Hotel motel tax fund?
Yeah, that's, again, we kept that the same as we've got it this year. We get 60% of the total collected, the other 40% we contract with the TDA.
TDA, okay. I wonder where it came from.
What's TDA?
Tourism Development Authority, the county.
I'll tell you what, y'all are easy to fill out for. But that state, oh,
Going online, I do it online,
yeah, I did, yeah.
yeah, and that site stays messed up all the time.
I just,
Glad y'all remind me, I need to take a check of it.
Yeah. Okay, if there are no further questions, need a motion.
I'll make one more question. Under the hotel motel tax fund, we spend $4,000 on tourism and promotion. Is that a part
That's
from
what
the
we were just
committee?
talking about. Of the amount that we collect, 40% goes to, on our contract with TDA, Tourism Development Authority of Raven County, to promote us. The other 60% we transfer to the general fund.
Is there any reason that we would want to use the hotel money specifically for the marketing effort?
Well, 60%
Or that comes out of
of
general
it
fund,
is,
so.
60% of it's going to your general fund to offset your marketing.
So essentially,
But the 40% keeps us involved with the marketing at the county level, which gets us a lot.
We want to do that, yeah.
publicity too.
And Laura Gurley, being chairman, has
Mhm.
really gotten us a lot more attention down there, a lot more our name in publications, that they do a lot more than, used to, we didn't get anything. We really did not.
Great, thank you.
And it's really interesting, I know, it's kind of off subject, but you were talking about, you know, people not hearing of Sky Valley. It's been real interesting to me in the last, just even the last couple of years, how much attention Sky Valley is getting from, we'll end up in a random article or, you know, best sites or best places to visit, and, you know, people are picking it up somewhere along the way, so you can only figure that's coming from some of what we're putting out
You
there.
don't have to tell them we up that by the Dilla's house anymore.
And TDA does a lot of quality advertising. And our name's mentioned in everything that goes out.
I make a motion.
Make a motion, I'm behind.
All in favor of adjournment, let it be known by saying aye.
I'm hungry, I was having out for lunch.
Yes, sir.
We gotta put a thought with it.
Okay.